He raced on the ground before he ruled the skies. A mechanic, a daredevil, a man with nerves of steel. From the roar of engines to the thunder of war, he chased destiny through the clouds. This is the story of Eddie Rickenbacker, America's ace of aces in the Great War. Eddie Rickenbacker, America's ace of aces in the Great War. When the United States entered World War I in 1917, Europe's skies were already ruled by battle-hardened aces. Legends like Manfred von Rick, Rene Fonck, and Billy Bishop. America, new to the war and still building its air arm, had no such heroes yet. But that was about to change, thanks to a daring former race car driver named Eddie Rickenbacker. Edward Vernon Rickenbacker was born in Columbus, Ohio, in 1892. Swiss immigrant parents. From a young age, he was fascinated by engines and speed. He built his first car at 16 and became one of America's best-known auto racers before the war. Known as Fast Eddie, he had nerves of steel and a fearless instinct for competition traits that would later serve him well in the air. When the U.S. declared war on Germany, Rickenbacker wanted to fight, but at 27, he was considered too old for pilot training and had only an elementary education. The Army initially accepted him as a chauffeur for General John J. Pershing's staff, using his mechanical skills to maintain vehicles, yet Rickenbacker's eyes were fixed on the skies. Every time he saw a plane lift off from the nearby training fields, his desire burned stronger. Through persistence and charm, he managed to convince his superiors to give him a chance. In 1917, he began pilot training in France. It was rough. American aviation was still in its infancy, and the planes were often outdated or dangerous. But Rickenbacker's mechanical understanding gave him an edge. He could not only fly his aircraft, but also repair and fine-tune it for battle. Soon, he was assigned to the 94th Aero Squadron, famously known as the Hat-in-the-Ring Squadron, one of the first American pursuit units to reach the front. Flying the nimble Nieuport 28, Rickenbacker began patrolling the skies over France. At first, he struggled. He lacked the polished flying skills of European veterans and had to learn the art of aerial combat the hard way. But he watched, studied, and adapted. His natural sense of timing and his racing instincts helped him read opponents. Movements like turns on a racetrack. His first confirmed victory came on April 29, 1918, when he downed a German Volkswagen D3 over Boset. The adrenaline rush was immense. And from that moment, Rickenbacker was hooked. Over the following months, he developed a methodical approach to air combat. Unlike some aces who relied on daring solo attacks, Rickenbacker emphasized patience and positioning. He studied enemy formations, learned the strengths and weaknesses of their aircraft, and struck only when conditions favored him. By mid, the 94th Squadron transitioned to the more powerful SPAD SXIII, and Rickenbacker's tally began to soar. He became a leader both in the air and on the ground, tough, disciplined, and deeply loyal to his men. In September 1918, after the death of the squadron's commander, Major Reed Chambers, Rickenbacker was promoted to flight commander. The autumn of 1918 marked his most intense period. In just over a month, he scored 14 victories, including a daring solo attack against 7 German aircraft near Billy on October 30th, a feat that earned him the Medal of Honor. By the time the armistice was signed on November 11th, 1918, Eddie Rickenbacker had achieved 26 confirmed aerial victories, making him the United States ace of aces. But his heroism was not only measured in kills. He became a symbol of American tenacity, a man who rose from humble beginnings to outfly Europe's best. His leadership inspired a generation of young aviators and helped establish America's reputation in military aviation. After the war, Rickenbacker returned home a national hero, but his challenges were far from over. He ventured into aviation business ventures, racing, and later became the head of Eastern Airlines, helping to shape the future of commercial flight. Throughout his life, he carried the lessons of the Great War: courage, precision, and perseverance. When asked years later about fear, he famously said, "Courage is doing what you're afraid to do. There can be no courage unless you're scared." Eddie Rickenbacker's story is not just about air victories. It's about a man who refused to accept limits, who turned from a mechanic and racer into one of the greatest aerial warriors of his time. As the sun set on the Great War, the Red Baron had fallen, but America had found its answer in the sky. The legend of the Hat-in-the-Ring Squadron lived on, and Rickenbacker became its immortal symbol. He proved that skill could triumph over experience, that willpower could overcome fear, and that true heroes are built not in comfort, but in combat. Eddie Rickenbacker, the fearless racer who took flight, remains. To this day, America's ace of aces. From racetracks to Rickenbacker proved that courage could conquer the sky. His legacy defined what it meant to be an American ace. But before victory could ever be claimed, someone had to see the battle first. Join us in the next episode, The Rise of Aerial Reconnaissance. Eyes over the battlefield. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next story.